Hello everyone. I have a very special battle report for you today. I have been a proud owner of the Bolt Action, a Gentleman's Warfare starter set for I think like 6 or 7 months now. A little bit like around Christmas times when I first got it. And I've yet to actually play a game of Bolt Action. I've seen it played in stores, got a little bit of a breakdown from some of the players and stuff before, but yeah, I haven't actually gotten a chance to play the game. So I was really excited to get all the minis painted up for this and not just play a game, but I was actually going to play a miniature tabletop game against my dad, who is someone who is completely like novice to all things tabletop games. I think I made him play one game of like Warhammer with me like way back in the day and he had no idea what he was doing. So this is a little simpler than that, though, luckily. And he loves World War II stuff. Specifically, he loves, like, the Tiger tanks. He likes a lot of, like, the German tanks and stuff. He thinks they look really cool. He likes Shermans and stuff, too, as well. But, yeah, the Tiger tank was always his favorite tank in World War II. So when you're looking at the lists here, don't be surprised if one seemed to have crept its way in to the Battle of Africa starter box. So having said all that, we'll take a look at the lists right now. Slightly modified from what you get in the starter box because I had to incorporate this Tiger box into the German army. Basically, they're going to have regular troops, and when we're looking at the British here, they're going to have a couple of veteran troops to make up that point difference, and they're going to have an extra vehicle included in their roster here. I know with the British, I was looking at like their special faction rules. They can take an observer and get artillery barrages and all this stuff. We weren't really too concerned with it. We are also playing with a custom objective and kind of just learning the game more than anything here. So, you know, I'm not too sweaty about losing my faction benefit here of that free observer. I do have a mini made up for it, so it's something I'll include in other battle reports with this army. This is our battlefield here. I kind of spent a little bit more time painting up the armies than I did getting a proper Africa-looking battlefield here. This is just my desert terrain that I tend to use for any of my tabletop games kind of across the board. Figured it's close enough. It doesn't look too bad. Definitely maybe a bit more Mars sci-fi than I would like, but again, I think it's good enough. We're also going to be doing a very simple objective here. We're basically playing for kill points, and we're also saying that there was a crashed transport truck in the middle of the battlefield, and it contains a bunch of important war documents. And whoever has majority troop infantry type squads within either base contact or 3 inches of that vehicle is going to get an extra 50 victory points each turn. I also kind of figured, you know, we've got a bit of a closer proximity to each other based on our battlefield here. There is a objective kind of located in the middle here. Might be a little bit risky to be calling in an artillery barrage so close to here. So that's kind of my headcanon for why the British decided not to do so on this day. We decided to do alternating deployments. He places a unit, I place a unit, so on and so forth. I think we rolled off to see who starts off the whole process. But yeah, everyone's units are already deployed here on the battlefield, and we will move on to the first turn. I pulled a British order. My tank was staring down at that Tiger across the battlefield, and I was a little nervous I was going to get popped really early on here. So I figured if I get orders early here, I'm going to try to activate my vehicles and get the most out of them before they could meet a quick demise. Unfortunately for my tank, it totally whiffs its shot. I was going to shoot at that infantry squad right in front of the Tiger. They really didn't have much cover at all, but I just rolled pretty bad on my main cannon and the machine gun that's also on the tank. I think the Germans realized the peril of those infantry boys right in front of the Tiger tank being a bit out in the open there. So he's going to activate them, give them an advance order. They're going to move forward and actually get a couple of lucky shots off at my veterans. They're kind of dug in behind those sandbags. There's going to be some stuff I'll go over like this, and if you're a veteran action player, let me know if I'm doing anything wrong here. But he moved, he had cover in the way, and I think he was above half range. Basically, I think he was hitting on 7s, so he needed a 6 to hit me twice in a row on 7s, and then he needed a 5 or better to wound my squad because they're veterans. And he got lucky enough there. At least I believe so, and that's one of my veterans plucked off. German's got another order die. He activates the Tiger tank, lines up a shot on my tank, however, completely whiffs the shot and misses. Goes back to me. I decide to activate my veteran squad that's already pinned down. Figure I'm better off trying to get rid of one of those pin markers now before they get more of them. Pass the leadership test and decide to return fire at those Germans that already got one of our boys. I mean, they're not really in the best of cover. We might have given him light because he had like half of his squad kind of positioned to the side there. Don't quite recall, but it was a pretty easy shot and I completely whiff it. Gave him one pin marker at least, but yeah, not even a single casualty off that. Frustrated with the defectiveness of our weapons, I get another order token and decide to send something a little higher caliber at those Germans. I give the armored car an advance order, move it forward, have it unload its explosive shells and machine gun on those Germans, and that was much more effective. I think I blew up the machine gun and one or two of the other riflemen in the squad. Now, again, if you're a veteran bolt action player, let me know if we were playing this wrong. I just did one pin marker for this, but I read somewhere in the rule book, I can't remember what page, that if you're shooting like an explosive thing like this and it has a template, that it does D3 for each of the template shots in terms of how many pin markers it puts down. I basically read it really early on at, maybe a week or two ago, and then when it came to actually playing, I couldn't find the rule. So that's why I settled on just doing one pin marker at this time, but let me know if I played that wrong. Germans get an order dice, and he's going to activate that anti-vehicle rifle that's behind the squad that just got shot. You can see him in the picture there. They're going to take a shot at my armored car. Not an effective one, though. I think he's 1 or 2 points shy of getting a penetrating hit. I end up pulling my order token afterwards, and I move up my counterpart squad. It's the same exact thing. Moving it up along the right side here. I looked at the stats and I was like, I'm pretty sure if I even get a 6 here, I can't penetrate the Tiger's front armor. So I started moving him around the side in the event that Tiger moves up a little bit. Maybe I can get a shot on the side or potentially the rear, and then I'll actually have a chance of doing something against it. Drew another British order die. I gave my orders out to the other veteran squad, gave them an advance order, had them move down this trench line into this earthwork kind of barrier that you can see in the photo here. Gives them good protection on the side, a little bit on the front. Not everyone could get shots. Wasn't the best roll in the world either. I think I might hand out one suppression token, as you can see on the photo there, but not really anything other than that. Gonna get a German order die after this. He's going to activate that big squad that's up on the hill there. They're going to take a shot at my anti-vehicle material rifle, whatever it's called, squad that moved up there. Pretty pitiful roll, though. Just gives me a pin marker. Next order dice went back to me. Gave the order out to my officer squad. I had them do a full run order. They're going to get a bit of light cover, kind of similar to the other squad, a bit of an earthwork area, side of a hill that I can kind of entrench them into here. My goal is next turn to have them sprint up, maybe use the tank as a bit of cover, and get them within contesting zone of that objective as well, so I can have 2 squads on it. He's going to activate his officers after this. His squad is going to sprint up next to that unit that's been getting shot at in the middle already. So now he's got 2 units on the objective. And the only thing I forgot to mention, take photos of here, is both of our mortars did take shots on the first turn, but both missed. His mortar squad is going to shoot at my veteran squad on the right side that is already wounded. And my mortar is going to shoot at his German infantry squad that's at the top of that hill. And this is the state of our battlefield at the end of turn 1 here. Pretty exciting. Definitely got some pin markers going out on both sides here. Germans have taken a few more casualties. But I would say that is due to the efforts of the armored cart that I have here, and pretty much exclusively that. Nothing else in my army is proven to be too effective at the moment. Should also note, though, at the end of turn 1 here, the Germans just barely have enough units within range here to get control of that objective. One of his officers' little chromey men is within 3 inches there, and the other squad is definitely within 3 inches. I only have my veteran squad there. But, as I mentioned, coming around on turn 2 here, I plan on having my officer get involved in that mess. So at the very least, I should be able to contest it. Start of turn 2, I get a British order die. I give it out to that armored car. I have a feeling the hatred in the German side is going to be boiling up over this vehicle every single turn of this game that it's alive. And I want it to get its effective shots out while it can. I take a shot at the Germans on that hill. However, he gives them a go to ground or down order. It'll basically cancel out their activation, I believe, for this turn, but it makes it so I get like a -1, -2 to my hit modifier, and because of that, I missed the shots. If he didn't do that, I actually would have landed them, so it was probably the right call in this situation, I think. I get another British dice and decide to have my other vehicle activate. Like I said, I want these things to get usage before they get blown up here. And I take a shot at his infantry squad right in front of me. Wasn't the best shot, rolled a lot of ones, but either the fragmentation of the explosive shell or one of my machine gun rounds catches one of the Germans and kills him off here. I get yet another order dice, and I'm going to have my veteran squad that's next to that tank advance forward onto the objective. They're running and gunning at that officer squad, but it was a pretty ineffective barrage. Hand them a pin marker, and that's about it. And this is the turn we actually figured out how useful the officers are. The Germans are going to give an order to their officer unit, and then he can give an order to a nearby unit as well, and then I realized how that mechanic worked, and I'll be taking advantage of that later on, but he's going to give an order to that unit next to his officers that's been taking a lot of damage. I think he gave them a rally because they're up to like 3 pin markers, maybe more, and the officer squad itself is going to open fire on my advancing veteran squad that's taking cover behind the objective. I don't think he gets any wounds through, and he's only going to hand out a pin marker. I activate my veteran squad on the other side. I had my little armored car moving up with this squad, and I figured it can kind of provide some cover, give him an advance order, have him hop over those sandbags, take a couple of wild shots at the Germans, not really resulting in too much. Another advantage of moving up is I believe his mortar is going to have to recalibrate the trajectory of the mortar shot and basically re-roll like the dice instead of getting the countdown starting at a 5 up now. He's going to have to restart it at a 6. Takes a shot at my squad anyways and misses. And like I said, this is the turn we realized how the officers work and can kind of mitigate the randomness of the dice pulling in this game. So I got my officer, and then I'm going to give an order to my mortar team that's nearby. The officer and his little squad there are going to do what the veteran squad just did and advance up, use that tank as kind of cover as they approach that center objective. I'm going to have them take a couple of shots at those Germans that are just barely hanging in there around that rock up ahead of them. And if you're curious about the mortar, it rolled a 1 to hit. Got a German order dice, and the Tiger is going to activate. It lines up another shot on my armored car and misses. I activate my anti-vehicle rifle team, and they take a shot. Maybe I should have been shooting him at that Tiger, but I can't. The side armor's too strong. It won't even do anything. So I'm shooting at these infantry, and I'm not doing anything. I'm not even handing out pin markers. These guys are useless. I don't think his were doing anything either this turn, and I believe that also concludes the end of turn 2, moving into turn 3, and I get a pretty good stroke of luck at the start here. I draw 2 British order dice at the start of the turn, which is pretty nice in a row. And the first thing I'm going to do is activate my armored car, then spoiler, I'm going to activate my tank after. You might be asking why I didn't give one of those to my officer. I have a plan for him later, and we'll go into that when it happens. So the armored car is going to activate first. I'm going to have it shoot at those Germans that are up on the hill there, just like last time. And just like last time, he's going to give them that go to ground, that down order with his little dice thing. You know, it might suck that I'm going to miss the shots and not get the damage through here, but the fact that I'm able to deny him the ability to use that unit now, and my mortar team is just kind of slowly getting their shot lined up perfectly to take these guys out, I think is actually really cool. I love like the strategy of what's going on there. Well, like I said, I got 2 order dice in a row here. So next one was a British one. I'm going to put it on my tank, and I'm going to have it take some shots at those Germans. They're pretty exposed there with the pin marker hiding behind that rock. Not a bad shot either. I think I blast 2 of them with the main gun, and then the little mounted turret takes out another for 3 kills. Not bad at all. German order die coming up here, and he's going to do the same thing he did last time by giving his officer one, and then he'll use the officer ability to give an order to that pretty obliterated German squad right next to them. They're going to have a rally order, and the officer squad is going to fire at my veterans. He does manage to pluck one of my veterans off and obviously hand out a pin marker as well. I got the next order die, and I'm going to give it to my veteran squad on the far right side. They're going to continue their advance forward and lay down suppression fire on those Germans on the hill. I want to say the shots give them a pin marker, but no actual casualties. But that's okay, because my mortar, as I already mentioned, has been lining up a shot on those Germans, and they've just been constantly going to ground every single turn. They haven't had a chance to reposition themselves, and now's the time for the mortar to land the shot. Bam! 2 Germans get blown clean off the hill. Their casualty pile is really building up here. And what do you think, folks? I'm going to activate my anti-vehicle rifle, have it take another shot at that German squad on the hill. Is the casualty pile going to continue to grow? No, of course not. These guys whiff, and I don't even think they hand out a pin marker. Mortar team on the hill is going to activate, taking some fairly close-range lobs at my squad that's been closing in on that hill. He had some pretty good luck on the roll to hit. Lands it, but then gets terrible luck on the wound rolls. I think he had 3 guys underneath the template, and he rolled 2 1s and a 2. Does nothing to my squad. Germans are going to activate that anti-vehicle rifle across the battlefield. As much trash as I have been talking about these rifles this game, he actually did land the shot, and he was just tragically 1 point shy of actually penetrating the vehicle's armor. Now, I know it's hard to see in the picture here, but I believe I actually drew my British order dice and put it on my officer's unit, and then had him use his ability to also give an order to my veteran squad. They've been slowly advancing up on those Germans, and I think they had a pin marker before they were going to do their order, but they just barely passed the leadership test because of their veteran +1 bonus, or it might have been because my officer was nearby. I just remember it was really close, and we got the charge off. I managed to kill 2 of the Germans during the charge. They retaliate, managed to kill one of my guys, but because of the numbers and the fact that I actually won the initial round of combat, the officer and his cromie decide to surrender. My officer's unit's going to continue to lay fire down on that lone German, the lone survivor of that squad, but alas, I am unable to kill him. I can't remember if it went at the very end or if I just missed it during this turn, but I think this is the 3rd turn in a row that the Tiger is just tragically going to miss its shot on my armored car. Might have shot at the tank this turn, but yeah, it was another whiff. But at the start of the following turn, it's a German order dice. My dad was very frustrated with this tank at this stage, I remember. He gave the order dice to that Tiger, and I think this was like the breaking point. If it wasn't going to get the job done now, I think he was just done with it, and these Germans as a whole. But it manages to pull through, and with pretty much little resistance. I think it needs like a 2 or better to penetrate the armor of the armored car when it actually lands the hit. Then we rolled on the chart to see what happens, and that vehicle was out of commission. Drew a British order dice, and I decided to activate my veteran squad that's going to lay fire down on that German unit on the hill. I didn't have the armored car to lay the suppressive fire down, but my squad got it done this time, and they give another order to go to ground, and I don't deal any casualties, but again, I'm denying their order and just setting up that mortar for a juicy shot. However, his mortar is going to activate before mine, and he got a really lucky roll, manages to kill one of my veterans, and obviously hand out a pin token as well. Meanwhile, across the battlefield, I activate my other veteran squad, and I have them take some shots at the German anti-vehicle rifle team. They give themselves a go-to-ground order as well, making the shots pretty dang hard. However, I think I rolled 2 6s and a 5 or something like that on one lucky bullet that kills the spotter for the rifle. I got another order dice, give it to my mortar team, and you already know what they're going to be doing. They didn't roll 1 this time, they land the shell, I blow up 2 German infantry on that hill. I'm gonna activate my tank. You can tell the Germans didn't really have too many orders to give out this turn. They were all going to ground. I activate my tank, also have it lay some shots on the Germans on the hill there, but the shots were too hard to line up with that going to ground order and the cover they had, so it was a whiff. I think the last remaining thing going on this turn was my officer's squad was taking shots at that lone German behind the rock, still unable to kill him, and my anti-vehicle rifle is yet to do anything. That'll be end of this turn. I believe turn 4. Moving on to turn 5. We start with the German order dice, and not too much of a surprise. It's going right on that Tiger tank. It's lining up a shot on my tank. It lands, punches through the armor, but I guess it must have shot a little bit low because it immobilizes my tank. It takes out the tracks. I'm stuck. And I think I had to roll on the turret effect as well to see if my turret jammed, and it's locked into this front position, which isn't the worst, to be honest, but yep, my tank's stuck there now. I get a British order dice, activate my mortar, however, he rolls a 1 and completely misses. I get another order dice, I'm going to put it on my officer, and I think I'm going to chain that to give another order to my veteran squad. Officer is going to continue to lay fire on this lone German, and I think another turn he's going to continue to survive. And my veterans are going to take shots at that anti-vehicle rifle that's tucked away there. However, we had some ineffective shooting this turn. I think all I do is give them another pin marker, if that. Speaking of ineffective firepower, my anti-vehicle rifle is going to continue to lay shots down on those Germans at the hill and continue to miss. That'll be the end of turn 5, and we're moving on to the final turn. We start with the German order die. He's lining up a shot on my poor immobilized tank. It lands the hit, penetrates with ease, and blows it clean up. These final turns, I have my officer and my veteran squad try to lay some fire down on those Germans on the hill. Veteran squad's going to shoot at the infantry squad. They're going to do a go-to-ground order on this final turn. Not take any damage from my veteran squad. Have my officers unit try to lay some fire down on the mortar team right next to that German infantry squad. Nothing successful though. I give them a pin marker. That's about it. Also have my anti-vehicle rifle, unsurprisingly, miss its shots on this final turn. That German mortar is going to activate and get one more revenge shot at my veteran squad. Take out another veteran on this final turn. I'll activate my veteran squad across the battlefield, and they're going to take out that German anti-vehicle rifle that's been kind of stubbornly dug into that piece of cover there. And that'll conclude the final turn. Given the objective that we had here, I think it was a pretty sound British victory, but that Tiger tank ended up kind of pulling its weight on those final turns, and given the fact I lost both my vehicles, and I don't quite know the way of scoring in bolt action, you might get partial points for squads that are like half depleted, but I'm down like half a veteran squad here, so it's actually not quite that bad for the Germans, given that tank is about half of his army. That's why I say in terms of casualties dealt and victory points that way, it might really just be kind of a Pyrrhic victory for the British in that situation. But again, given the objective we had here, I think we can feel pretty confident about the actions we performed on this day and the victory we achieved, no matter the cost. So that was obviously both of our first games of bolt action, and we both had a lot of fun in this game. I really like this system. I can easily see myself playing a lot more games of bolt action, and I'm hoping I get the opportunity to. Want to expand the force that I have here, maybe build it up to like whatever the standard game size is for bolt action, and then maybe move on to like a new theater of war. I know that this is supposed to be more of a historical war game, but they also have that Conflict 44 game, and my brain was already thinking about playing like a zombie survival mode with like all these World War II guys. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty Zombies lately, so my brain's already kind of thinking about that. It could be so fun. I would love to come up with a custom rule set for that. I don't know if someone else already did it. I'll have to look around. But yeah, I really, really like the rule set that Bolt Action has. It feels similar to stuff I've seen in Warhammer 40k, and I can see a lot of the inspiration for Star Wars Legion that came from this game. There are things that I like that they added to Star Wars Legion to kind of improve your statistical output in certain situations and kind of contain the randomness that Bolt Action has,
which feels a little bit more Warhammer like, but it's really fun. And like I like Warhammer, and I don't mind if it has that. It's a really cool system. Now, in terms of accessibility, I kind of ragged on the newer system of Star Wars Legion for this. I think that Star Wars Legion's a little bit more of an accessible game to someone who's completely new to tabletops, but this isn't as bad as Warhammer by any means. It's definitely a lot more of an approachable game, I feel like. It still definitely has like a lot of rulebook searching and kind of flipping through pages, trying to figure out what this and that means. But the rulebook, I personally think, is pretty well structured. Actually, everything's easy to find, easy to read. The one thing I will say, but I am used to this in the Warhammer books, is like the first little chunk most of the time is like historical facts, like fluff and whatnot, and then the next part is like actually the rules and everything. So you just got to kind of figure that out, and then once you do, pretty easy to figure out. I think the rules are very straightforward to digest. There were definitely some things that we missed in this game. I obviously mentioned this is kind of my first real game of bolt action. I've seen it played on tables before, watched a couple of battle reports, but never actually gone to roll the dice on the table myself with these guys. So this is my first game. Let me know if there were any mistakes that we made during the battle. I'm sure there were plenty, and I'll learn about it moving forward. I used kind of like the how to play starting thing and then a little bit of the rule book itself because we added some additional elements from the starter box here, and I obviously had to figure out how to play with them. Some of the rules we had to look up on the fly. I've read through a little bit of the rule book, but I haven't actually gotten a chance to give it a thorough read yet. Like I said, I was kind of using the how to play thing and relying on my knowledge from that and some battle reports more so than anything. Once I get a chance to actually read through this a bit more thoroughly, I'm sure there's going to be more stuff I learn, and I'll see in the comments below. Also, let me know on my strategy and my dad's strategy as well in this game, what we could have done better. I was telling him I think he could have been a little bit more aggressive with the Tiger tank, maybe trying to get some machine gun shots on my infantry and doing like one or two of the main gun shots on him as well. I didn't know if you could split fire. I was trying to find that in the rule book, and I believe you can't. So I just think that the machine gun wasn't doing much against my armored the armored car. It actually had a chance to do some stuff against, but he just didn't get that good a roll. But yeah, a lot of times it wasn't getting its maximum efficiency because of that. And I mean, I didn't know this. Obviously he didn't either. Like, it's kind of brutal, like having basically like 50-50 odds on your tank most of the time, like if it is or isn't going to land the shot. So it kind of makes sense that he missed the first half of this game, his first 3 shots, and then he landed his second or his next 3 shots on turn 4, 5, and 6. But yeah, I don't know. I've definitely heard too people say the Tiger tanks and like the more expensive stuff in this game doesn't really work as efficiently as some of the cheaper options. But you know, who cares? We just want to have fun, and he's been looking forward to using that, and I'm glad it actually got a chance to shine on those final turns and blow up all of my armor. But yeah, I don't know if being a little bit more aggressive, maybe using it to like control the objective point there would have been a better call. Even myself, obviously I didn't realize like how well officers kind of work in this game early on, and maybe I need to be doing that a little bit more. I know going forward with the British, they're kind of all about their artillery and like field support, so I need to probably invest in that when it comes to finishing up this army. And if you guys have any suggestions in that regard, what's like good for these armies moving forward, I'm all ears for that. And yeah, comments on the battle itself too. Love to hear it. That's about it though. Thanks for watching the video, folks. Have a great day. See you all later. Bye bye.